Dear students, in this video I am going to discuss numerical problems appeared in the year June 2018, that is supplementary paper. Watch full video, that helps you to score more in the upcoming examination. Okay, let's see the very first problem. The plates of a parallel plate capacitor have an area of 100 centimeter square each and are separated by 3 millimeter. The capacitor is charged by connecting it to a 400 volt supply. Calculate the electrostatic energy stored in the capacitor. If a dielectric constant 2.5 is introduced between the plates of the capacitor, then find the electrostatic energy stored and also change in the energy stored. Let me write first given data. Here we have area of the each plate, that is equals to 100 centimeter square, that is centimeters 10 raised to minus 2. Here we have square, so it will become 10 to the power of minus 4 meter square. So this can be written as 10 raised to minus 2 meter square, and the distance between the two plates is 3 millimeter, and the voltage supplied is 400 volt. Okay, we need to calculate energy stored in the capacitor. So let me write energy stored in the capacitor in terms of voltage, that is half CV square, because here we have voltage, so we can write in terms of voltage. So whenever there is no dielectric medium between the two plates of the capacitor, at the time let me consider energy stored in the capacitor is E1, that is equals to half C1. C1 is the capacitance of the capacitor when there is no dielectric medium between the two plates of the capacitor. So as we know that this can be written as, so U1 is equals to 1 by 2 epsilon naught A divided by D, because we know that whenever there is no dielectric medium between the two plates of the capacitor, then capacitance of the capacitor is given by epsilon naught A divided by D. So we could write like this. I'm substituting the values, that is U1 equals to, we know that epsilon naught is 8.854 into 10 raised to minus 12, and area is 10 raised to minus 2, and V square, that is 400 whole square, divided by the distance between the two plates is 3 into 10 raised to minus 3. So on simplifying this, we get here 8.854, here 8.854, 10 raised to minus 12 into 10 raised to minus 2, that is 10 raised to minus 14 into 400 square, that is 1,60,000, divided by, this can be written as 3 into 2, 6 into 10 raised to minus 3. And now this can be written as, that is U1 equals to 8.854 into 10 raised to minus 14, and this 1,60,000 can be written as 1.6 into 10 raised to plus 5, divided by 6 into 10 to the power of minus 3. On simplifying this, we get, that is U equals to, U1 equals to 10 to the power of minus 14 into 10 to the power of 5, that is divided by 10 to the power of minus 3, it becomes 10 to the power of minus 6, and here 8.854 into 1.6 divided by 6, that gives us 2.361 joule. This is the energy stored in the capacitance of the parallel plate capacitor when there is no dielectric medium between the two plates of the capacitor. This is E. Let me go for B now. If a dielectric constant, that is 2.5, if a dielectric medium of dielectric constant 2.5 is introduced between the two plates of the capacitor, then what would be the energy stored in the capacitor? Let me consider energy stored in the capacitor when the dielectric medium of dielectric constant 2.5 is introduced between the two plates of the capacitor, that is equals to half C2 V square, because you know that the capacitance of the capacitor depends on the medium between the two plates of the capacitor. So we could write like this. Now U2 equals to, that is 1 by 2 C2, let me write epsilon naught Ka divided by D. This is the expression for capacitance of the parallel plate capacitor when the dielectric medium is present in between the two plates. So we know that this can be written as, that is epsilon naught A divided by D V square into K. So now we got that the energy stored in the capacitor whenever the dielectric medium is placed in between the two plates, we get k times, that is, we know that 1 by 2 epsilon naught A divided by d v square is nothing but energy stored in the capacitor before inserting the dielectric medium. Now this can be done as k. So just now we got u1, that is u1 equals to 2.361 into 10 raised to minus 6, and here we have k value is 2.5. So I'm simplifying this. The energy stored in the capacitor is the k times the energy stored whenever there is no medium between the two plates of the capacitor. So if you simplify this, we'll get 5.90 into 10 raised to minus 6 joule. This is energy stored in the capacitor whenever there is a dielectric medium of dielectric constant 2.5 between the two plates of capacitor. Now the change in the energy in the capacitor is given by energy stored in the capacitor after inserting the dielectric medium minus energy stored in the capacitor before inserting the medium. This is u2 equals to, we know that 5.90 into 10 raised to minus 6 minus u1 equals to 2.361 into 10 raised to minus 6. This can be written as, that is 5.90 minus 2.361 into 10 raised to minus 6. This gives us, that is, delta of change in energy stored in the capacitor is equals to 3.539 into 10 raised to minus 6 joule. This is a change in the energy stored in the capacitor. Okay, let's move to the next question. In the given circuit diagram, calculate the main current through the circuit and also current through 9 ohm resistor. So let me consider that the main current is I in this circuit. So we know that the current through the circuit is equals to the EMF applied across the combination divided by the effective resistance plus internal resistance of the cell. So now let me find out the effective resistance of this combination by drawing equivalent circuit diagram. So we can get, now here these two are connected in series, so we can write them 6 ohm, that is 3 plus 3. Whenever they are connected in series, so we should add them, no? So we could write 6 ohm, and here this becomes 12 ohm, and here we have one more resistance, that is 9 ohm resistance. These three are connected in parallel. So these three are connected in parallel across the combination 3 volt and 0.24 ohm, isn't it? Okay. Now you see that the effective resistance can be calculated by using the formula 1 by Rp equals to 1 by R1 plus 1 by R2 plus 1 by R3. Let me write here 1 by 6 plus 1 by 12 plus 1 by 9. This is equals to, so here LCM is 36, here 6 plus, that is 3 plus 4. This is equals to 13 by 36. So 1 by Rp equals to 13 by 36. So we could write Rp equals to 36 by 13. 36 by 13 is 2.76 ohm. This is the Rp. Now I'm substituting this in this, so we can get, that is E is equals to 3 volt divided by Re. Just now we got the effective resistance, that is they are connected in parallel, so we could write here 2.76 plus internal resistance is 0.24 here. So this becomes 3 by 3. So this is equals to 1 ampere. The current in the circuit is equals to 1 ampere. This is 1. Now let me go for the current through 9 ohm resistor. How can we calculate current through 9 ohm resistor? Let me mark the current through 9 ohm resistor is I1, and that current through the another branch is I2. So by the branch concept, that is, we know that we have here the resistance is, the first resistance is 6 ohm, another resistance is 12 ohm, and we have a resistance that is 9 ohm. These three are connected in parallel. and they are connected to the cell of EMF E and internal resistance R, and the total current is I, and we need to find out the current through 9 ohm resistor. So let me write the equivalent resistance for this, that is 6 ohm and 12 ohm. This another branch. This 9 ohm is one branch. Make 9 ohm is one branch, another 12 ohm and 6 ohm is another branch. So I get 6 and 12, they are connected in parallel, and here this 9 ohm resistance. The equivalent of these two resistance, that is 6, that is Rp is equals to these two, 6 into 12 divided by 6 plus 12. By using the formula Rp equals to R1 into R2 divided by R1 plus R2, we can calculate the effective resistance of these two, that is equals to, that is 72 divided by 18, this is equals to 4. So here Rp equals to 4 ohm, and 4 ohm and 9 ohm. This is, let me consider this one as R2, this one as R1. Now we need to find out the current through R1 resistance. Let me write this on I1. So we know that from the branch current concept, the current in one branch is equals to total current in the circuit and resistance of the another branch. Here resistance of the another branch is R2 divided by the total resistance R1 plus R2. This is equals to, here we know that I equals to 1 ampere, we got just now. I equals to total resistance. So total current is 1 ampere. R2 equals to 4 ohm divided by R1 plus R2, that is 4 plus 9. This is equals to 4 divided by 13. That is I1 equals to 4 divided by 13. So 4 divided by 13 is equals to 0.3076 ampere. This is the current through the 9 ohm resistor. Okay, let me move to the next question. That is a 20 ohm resistor, 1.5 Henry inductor and 35 microfarad capacitors are connected in series with a 220 volt 50 Hz AC supply. Calculate the impedance of the circuit and also find the current through the circuit. So let me write first given data. So here we have a resistance, that is R is equals to 20 ohm, and inductor, that is inductor of inductance 1.5 Henry, and the capacitor of capacitance 35 microfarad 10 raised to minus 6 farad, and the voltage applied across this combination is 220 volt AC supply, that is, and the frequency is equals to 50 Hertz. Okay, now we need to find out impedance. We have a formula for impedance, that is impedance is equals to square root of R square plus XL minus XC whole square. Okay, here we have R. R is in the given data, but XL and XC we need to find out Z. So let me find first XL, that is XL is equals to 2 pi FL. I'm substituting the values. Let me write here 2 into 3.142. The frequency is 50 Hertz and L is equals to 1.5 Henry. So this is XL. So XL is equals to, so I'm simplifying this, we get 471.3 ohm. This is XL. So after getting XL, we need to find out one more, that is XC. So XC is equals to, we have a formula for XC, that is XC equals to 1 by 2 pi FC. So I'm substituting the values, that is 1 divided by 2, pi value is 3.142, frequency is 50, and C, capacitance or capacitor is 35 into 10 raised to minus 6. So on simplifying this, we get 90.93 ohm. Now substitute this XC and XL in this. We get now, that is Z is equals to R square. R is 20 square plus XL is 471.3 minus 90.93 0.93 whole square, square root of this one. So I'm simplifying this. We get Z is equals to 380.89 ohm. This is what Z. So this is what Z. Now we need to find out current. Current is equals to, so that current equals to, we can write that is V divided by the total resistance, that is V by Z. So here we have V is equals to 220 and Z equals to 380.89. 380.89, that is I is equals to 220 divided by 380.89, that is equals to 0.5775 amperes. This is the current in the LCR circuit. Okay. Moving to the next question, that is the radii of curvature of two surfaces of a convex lens is 0.2 meter and 0.22 meter. Find the focal length of the lens if the refractive index of the material of the lens is 1.5. Also find the change in focal length if it is immersed in water of refractive index 1.33. So here we can see that the radii of curvature of the convex lens are 0.2 meter and 0.22 meter. Let me consider them as R1 and R2. Here R1 equals to 0.2 meter and R2 equals to minus 0.22 meter. Why we should consider this one as minus? Because in the case of lenses, when we consider this surface, the center of curvature will come this side. This is center of curvature. And radius will be this side. This is what radius we call. Let me consider this R1. And when we consider this surface, this is another surface, we will get the center of curvature this side, this C2. Let me consider this C1 and this C2. And this will become R2. We know that anything which is considered right of the convex lens should be considered as positive, and anything which is considered left of the convex lens should be considered as negative according to Cartesian sign conventions. So R2 should be considered as negative. Okay, this is the thing. Now we know that from the lens maker's formula, 1 by F is equals to refractive index of the glass divided by refractive index of the surrounding medium, let it be in the air now, minus 1 of 1 by R1 minus 1 by R2. This is lens maker's formula. And substituting the values, that is whenever the lens is in the air, the focal length of the lens in the air is equals to Ng by Na minus 1 of 1 by R1 minus 1 by R2. Now let me find the focal length of the lens when it is in the air. 1 by Fa equals to Ng, that is refractive index of the glass is 1.5 divided by refractive index of the air is 1 of 1 divided by R1. Here R1 is 0.2 minus 1 divided by R2 is minus 0.22. Okay, 1 divided by Fa is equals to, so 1.5 minus 1 is 0.5 of 1 by 0.2 is 5 minus this minus 1 minus becomes plus 1 divided by 0.22, 4.54. This is equals to, that is 1 by Fa is equals to the 5 this minus 1 minus becomes plus, no, so here plus, and 5 plus 4, 4.54 is, this is equals to 9.54 divided by this is 0.5 can be written as 1 by 2, so that's what we can write, 9.54 divided by 2. So Fa can be written as, that is focal length of the lens when it is in the air equals to 2 divided by 9.54. This is equals to, that is focal length of the lens when it is in the air is 0.209 meter. This is the focal length of the lens when it is in the air. Now in the second case, we can see that find the focal length in, if it is immersed in the water of refractive index 1.3. We need to find out change in the focal length. Whenever we place the lens in the water, its focal length changes. That means its focal length increases. So let's see how much focal length will change. Okay, so now we know that 1 by, from the lens maker formula, 1 by f, where we are placing now, we are placing in the water. So we could write here focal length of the lens in the water, that is refractive index of the glass divided by refractive index of the surrounding medium is now water, minus 1. So lens maker formula, 1 by r1 minus 1 by r2. So already just now we found 1 by r1 minus 1 by r2. So here we can see 1 by r1, that is 5 plus 4.94, that is equals to 9.54. 9.54. This is here 9.54 it is. And here ng, that is 1.5 divided by refractive index of the water is 1.33 minus 1. And this is equals to, so here 1.5 minus 1.33 divided by 1.3. We could write this one like this. And here 9.54. So I'm simplifying this. We get this is equals to 0.17 into 9.54 divided by 1.33. This could be written as, that is 1 by fw, that is focal length of the lens in the water, is equals to 1.6218 divided by 1.33. Actually what we want f, that is f is equals to 1.33 divided by 1.6218. The 1.33 divided by 1.6218 becomes 0.82 meter. This is the focal length of the lens when we place in the water. So let me find out now change in the focal length. Change in the focal length is equals to the focal length of the lens when it is in the water minus focal length of the lens when it is in the air. So we have seen that focal length of the lens in the water is 0.82 minus focal length of the lens in the air is, it is 0.209. 0.209. This is equals to 0.611 meter. This is change in the focal length of the lens. Okay. So let's move to the next question. The half-life of radioactive sample strontium is 28 years. Calculate the rate of disintegration of 50 milligram of this isotope. Given Avogadro number, that is 6.023 into 10 raised to 23 atoms. So let me write first given data. That is, we have here half-life, that is T half is equals to 28 years. But this must be expressed in second, that is 28 years, that is 28 in 1 year. How many seconds are present? That can be calculated like that. 365 days, 24 hours, 60 minute and 60 second. So when you calculate this, we'll get 28 into 365 into 24 into 60 into 10. That means how many seconds are there in 1 year? 3.1536 into 10 raised to 7 seconds are there. So we could write T of equals to, that is T of equals to 28 into 3.1536, that is 88.30 into 10 raised to 7 second. This is half-life. Now we have a mass, that is mass we have here, mass is equals to 15 milligram. Then our aim is to find out rate of disintegration. We know that the rate of disintegration is nothing but E equals to lambda n. So we need to calculate first. To find out rate of disintegration, we need to have lambda as well as n. N means number of atoms present in 15 milligram of this isotope. So we know that the 90 gram of strontium, let me write here 90 gram of strontium consisting of how many number of atoms? That is Avogadro 6.023 into 10 raised to 23. Now that is 15 milligram, that is 15 milli means 10 raised to minus 3. gram of substance, that is strontium, consisting of the n number of atoms. Let me write n. Now on cross multiplying, we'll get n is equals to 6.023 into 10 raised to 23 into 15 into 10 raised to minus 3 divided by 90. And this is equals to, that is, number of atoms present in 15 milligram of this isotope is n equals to 1.00383 into 10 raised to 20. These many number of atoms are present in 15 milligram of isotope. Now let me calculate lambda, because we want n as well as lambda. N we calculated. Now let's go for lambda. We have a relationship between lambda and half-life. That is, half-life is equals to 0.693 divided by lambda. So lambda can be written as lambda equals to 0.693 divided by half-life. Here half-life equals to 88.30 into 10 raised to 7. On calculating, we'll get lambda, that is lambda equals to 0.007848 into 10 raised to minus 7. This can be written as now lambda equals to here, so 7.848 into 10 raised to minus 10 meter. This is lambda, decay constant. Now by using this, we can calculate the rate of disintegration, that is nothing but activity of this radioactive substance. That is A is equals to, that is A equals to lambda n, that is lambda equals to how much we got, 7.848 into 10 to the power minus 10 into, here we have n is equals to 1.00383 into 10 raised to 20. So on calculating, we get A equals to, so 10 to the power minus 10, 10 to the power 20, it becomes 10 to the power 10, and 7.848 into 1.00383 is equals to 7.878. This, so the activity of this radioactive substance is 7.878 into 10 raised to 10 becquerel. This way, in this way we can get the activity of this radioactive substance. Okay, thank you, thanks for watching.